I got something to send you real quick.
All right, man.
If you don't mind posting it so everybody in the podcast world, YouTube world can see this badass article written about my family and this new business we've been working on. And Dave, you've been regular telling everybody about it. Shout out Bluegill, the very first online buyer. Dave, now we have hundreds of online buyers and we're getting popping up here in Delaware, Dave.
Dude, send that to me and I'll make sure we aren't live right now because we don't do live shows unless for basketball games, but I'll make sure I throw that up in the comments for sure, because we here at The Last Storm, we take really great pride in home-based businesses and anybody that we can help. And the fact that we have one of our amazing dudes, Mark, you and your family have started your own company. We are definitely going to get you guys some shout outs. So
appreciate that. Check
sure,
it out,
bro.
Check it out, everybody.
You guys can see it right behind me. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go, right there. That's what I've been up to. That's why we've been busy. And today is Sunday, and we want to get digging into this daylight savings time situation going on. Did that throw you off, Dave? Threw me off.
Yeah,
Daylight
no doubt,
savings.
dude.
All right, but
completely off.
The Thunder, bro. The Thunder are holding the number one spot. We got a half a game lead on the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. You want to talk about the Timberwolves a little bit? A little fun with that, dude. Let's talk about Rudy Gobert saying like,
yeah, dude.
Where's the money at? Who's getting paid?
I mean, like, all right. So the fact is, with the Timberwolves, bro, let's just be honest. Like, anytime I get a bash the Timberwolves, I love doing it. It's just like easy bait for me, you know. So, Ant is good. I like Ant. He's a hard player. He knows what he's doing. A smart, intelligent athlete. So
that game, he was like 0 for 6 in the fourth in overtime. Come on, it was terrible.
But let me finish.
Okay,
let me finish.
Sorry.
As a third player, best player on the team. Okay? I like him like that. Okay? I don't like him as my best player on the team. Like, he's 21. He's too young. He's going to have trouble leading. He gets really frustrated if things aren't going his way. Like, I don't want him being my leader. Now, Anthony Towns, when he was there and playing without being injured, then he calms Ant down. There's a different side of Ant. But him as the best player and as the number one, scorer out there, I'm sorry, man. It's going to be really tough for them, especially if Gobert is your center, who, for whatever reason, likes to talk about refs getting paid money on the side and also touch microphones. Like, this guy isn't known for being a very intelligent person in general. So, like, let's just take a step back and say, can Ant and Gobert as a duo get it done in Minnesota? And I got to say, man, I was already on the fence with Minnesota in the first place. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's a clusterfuck, and whatever. We said that they were going to get off to a fast start. They've hung on to it a little longer than we thought, but yeah, this closing part of the season is going to be a real killer. And since you mentioned it, Cat's down with a knee injury. I don't even know if he gets back to full strength before the season's out. You got Gobert is as big of a basket case as he's ever been. And then on top of that, Ant is MIA.
The audacity to ask a ref how much they're getting paid, bro.
And he already fouled out.
What? You're already up by 1 point.
And he had already fouled out. So he couldn't impact the game anyway.
Dude, I just can't.
When you watch the foul, he actually did foul. Like, there was no question about that foul being a foul. And so then you can't impact the game. You get that technical, and then your team loses in overtime because your best player, like, looks like if you're watching Space Jam and he lost all his skills and he's just like, boom, blank, boom, blank.
Dude. He played 40 something minutes, man. Like again, I look at this and like, okay, if Ant is my third best player on my team, I'm really a good team. If Ant's my best player on my team, I'm looking at borderline tanking.
I mean, it's gonna be tough to be successful in the playoffs when the game tightens up and they're daring him to shoot that three, and I don't know.
Listen, could they go? They've got like 20 games left, something like that. Could they go 5-15 and lose the opportunity to be even a top 6 team?
No, I don't
because
think so.
Anthony Towns,
Chris
in my
Finch is a
opinion,
good coach.
he's the calmer of the entire locker room.
All right, I agree. He brings the weed, like, but my question is, like, how good is Chris Finch? How good is Naz Reid? I think those guys are good enough. Now they don't have a lot behind Naz Reid in that position, but yeah, I mean, and they'll be okay. They'll probably still be top 3, but I don't see them, coming into the playoffs with power. Like, and I don't want to be like too much hindsight, but did you see how like Cat played in the All-Star game? Like, do you think that plays into exhaustion, into his like later on injury, or is that unrelated?
Here's the thing. When has Cat gone an entire season without being injured? I think he's done it once or twice, maybe more. I don't know, but not very many. Yeah. I mean, like this is inevitable. Like, this is what we talked about in the beginning of the year with this team. Is like, yeah, they're going to do all right in the beginning, but then one of the 3 are going to get injured, and it's going to automatically crumble because then they're going to point fingers and all this other stuff. I didn't think it would be a month-long injury where he's going to miss the last month and plus of the season, the last 20 games of the season. Because if you had told me that, then I would have been like, okay, well, it depends on where they're at. Because here's the thing I want to say is that without Cat, they're not better than the Suns. They're not better than Sacramento, right? And then that right there is 5 and 6, right? They're not better than, and you can just keep on going down the list. And here's the thing is that as much as we want to say that there's a massive gap between us and the last place, right? It's the Lakers that is like 10 games behind us. 8 games behind us is the Golden State Warriors, Lakers are all right there at 10 and a half games, right?
Right.
If that's the case, and you're having an issue, especially with the top 3 players, like how far could they fall down if everybody else starts clicking? Like if the Clippers start like winning and they have so many games and so many back-to-backs coming up too, like if the Clippers start just going on a crazy win streak, right? Next thing you know is that boom, boom, you'll look at the rankings and you're going to see like, the Suns that would be tied with Timberwolves and 5-6 games behind first place.
Yeah.
I mean, like
good.
That. I mean, like that's what we're literally looking at. Like if it was just the East, then I would say you'd have more fluctuation. But this is the West. You don't have time to be like, oh, what's happening here? Who are we going to play here? What, like we don't have the right amount of players out there. Like they're not a incredibly deep team. And you start taking out players, yes, you can replace them with Naz Reid and McDaniels and some other guys like that, but it's not going to be the same. It's just not. Like, you're not going to be able to do the same type of style of basketball that's best for Ant and that's best for Gobert. And that's like you're going to ask more of Gobert, which is not a good thing. You're going to ask more of Ant, which we've saw 7 for 29 from, the field goal the other night, dude. Like, what are we seeing? We're seeing a team that's young and old that doesn't have the star player like Towns that was going to carry them through the last 20 something games of the season. Like he was going to carry them. Like he's been there before. He's understood it. Now it's got Cat and Gobert, who nobody seems to respect right now.
That's true.
Because Minnesota went down and played immaculate defense. They would have won by 1 point, bro. There's no chance that they would have been able to score on the other end. The free throw gave the Cavs the game, bro.
I love it. And
Craziest
on the other end
I've
of
ever
it,
seen.
We see the Thunder out there playing the Heat, and what a game! Because I love big shot making games, and they're the type of games where like even if you lose, you want to be able to like be like, I enjoyed that game because offense was flowing, teams were making shots, players were playing great players were playing great. How about Jimmy Butler going full playoff bully mode, like try to stop me and getting and ones and stuff like, and we still overcame that. And then Coach Spoelstra had some really nice things to say about Coach Daigneault.
It was
really amazing. Go ahead.
The aggression. We were the aggressors. Like, we scored the big buckets first and made Heat come back down and score again. Like, I was like, holy shit. It was so fun to watch how we were just like attacking a 3-point shot. Bam. Crowd goes crazy. And then next thing you know, the Heat come down, right? Bam. And one by Jimmy Butler, or 3. And it's just like, oh, this is so good. But we were the ones that were attacking and scoring first. That's what was so fun in the fourth quarter, bro.
So as we get going, do you think that this Heat team is a good barometer for actual playoff basketball, or is this not like the best version of the Heat team, so we don't really know?
Bro, they still won 35 games already, right?
Yeah,
this is not a chump team, okay?
Yeah. They were full strength. We haven't
Jimmy
seen
Butler has been injured for
right.
Yeah. Butler's been injured for 20 games this season. Okay. So this team is going to be all right, especially in the playoff. They're going to win a bunch of games in a row. What we saw last night was the respect from the Heat. And that's the first time I've seen it by a team that what I would consider beginning of the season that everybody considered better than us, the Heat. Now there was a way that they were playing us with respect. The way that they saw J-Dub, running up and down. They saw Shea. They would know where Josh Giddey was at. The way that these guys, especially, the way they played against Andrew Wiggins was dude, he's the perfect Heat player, Andrew Wiggins. They knew how to play him. And it was incredible to see how this entire team was just concepted around, we're going to attack. We're going to make the Heat work. And that only came when we went down 14 points. And it was just fuck this shit. We're not going to lose this game. We're going to do whatever it takes to overcome this stupidity of being down this much. And we just fought back. In the fourth quarter, it was just okay, do you guys want to be in the game? Because we're going to make the shots. We're going to make the plays. It's all about what you guys do. Can you guys stay up with us? And it was 3 or 4 possessions that the Heat weren't able to capitalize that we were. And that was the end of the game.
And you mentioned it, Josh Giddey, though, he's been playing really good. Coach Daigneault said over the last week, he's really responded incredibly. Some of the best basketball he's ever played. And if you're just looking at the stats, you'll be like, oh, those aren't the greatest numbers we've ever seen from him. But the ability to play within what the team needs from you and be able to excel, if you can find times where he's out on the court and he's not involved in something good happening at this phase, it's the exception. That guy knows, he's got a nose for the ball. He knows where to be at the right time. He knows who needs the ball, where they need it, how they need it. And on top of that, he's attacking downhill early enough and often enough where teams just do not feel comfortable letting him get into his rhythm. So there's going to be an adjustment on Giddey because he's playing that well.
The maturity on Giddey recently is mind-boggling. Each of the last few games, I've seen him take open threes, but I've seen him drive to the hole and dish the ball as well in an open three. The way that he is able to understand and see exactly what he needs to do in order to capitalize on that specific play is incredibly amazing. And I look at him and I'm like, okay, look at Josh, right? And if he's been able to learn how to change his style of play to fit this team, okay, I want to say this. I want to make sure that I say it clearly enough for those people that ever doubted Josh, okay? You guys can eat a bag of fucking dicks because Josh Giddey is the man. There is no doubt about it that Josh Giddey is going to be those glue players. And if he's figured out, instead of taking that open three to drive to the hole and get a ball that's passed or get an open shot that's a layup or a mid jumper instead of taking that three, and he takes the open three and he's being more consistent with it, then it's over. Because he was one of the I don't say missing pieces that we were having, but we needed 30 minutes out of Josh and he was only getting 20s. And it was because he wasn't understanding his full role. And now we're seeing his defense step up. We're seeing his offense step up. We're seeing him be more in the open court and with the ball in the open court. He's understanding his role, exactly what coach wants him to do. And thus he's getting rewarded in minutes. And we knew this was going to happen with Josh Giddey. And it always frustrated us when we were defending him, in February and January and December when everybody was throwing him under the bus. And we kept on being like, but Josh is the guy that we want on this team for the longevity of what this team can do. because Josh is a major contributor. He is a major piece to this team, and it makes me happy to see that he's figured it out, because out of all the players, he was the one guy that I was really hoping that he would figure it out and connect the dots.
Yeah, and coach's offense is predicated on ball movement from side to side. We could go back to the very beginning of the Thunder days, and we could talk about how every coach always said they wanted the ball to move from side to side. Make the defense shift, attack closeouts. Those are advantage spots, but we never able to do it. Like, every coach talked about it, no team did it. And then all of a sudden we have this team that does it. And the most important pass for that team is the cross-court pass. We need to make it often. We need to make it regularly. We need people to get off the ball quickly. We need the ball to swing. It needs to be able to find the corners. It needs to get into those little, the best offense in basketball right now is when you have two guys on the 3-point line and one guy closing out, and they're playing monkey in the middle, and they're trying to figure out which guy is going to shoot the ball. When they have that, it's like KD and Booker on the two wings, and they're like, all right, you pick, you know what I mean? And they run all these actions to get these guys into these things. And then you have the Thunder, no plays being run to create these actions. These actions are a natural part of their offense. And then that's when you see Coach Spoelstra saying what he says about this team and just being so impressed with what they bring to the table. He said something to the extent of, and I think a lot of Oklahoma City Thunder fans are susceptible to this too, but from the outside, you may not look at this team and say it makes sense what they're doing offense and what their defense, it makes sense. But when you scout this team, you prepare for this team, and then you go out and play the team, you understand that they know what they're doing, and it makes a ton of sense. The system that Coach Dagnall has created makes a ton of sense. And that's where you look at it and you're like, yeah, I mean, that's the highest compliment you can get from an opposing coach right there. And Coach D is excellent with what he does. We spent a lot of time last episode talking about that and comparing it to other teams that maybe like leaning into the old movement instead of the youth movement. But it's all a part of it. And now to see Josh coming around and turning a corner and knowing that when the playoffs really kick off, when they get going, he is going to be a critical part of that. So I'm excited about the fans. I'm excited about the way everybody's showing out for the game. The community is really picking up the support.
So fun.
It's a different level, Dave. It reminds me, of it's actually better than it ever has been before.
You know why?
This is the best it's ever been.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better, bro. Why is it that this team is doing so well at this very particular time? And it's in my opinion, the emergence of two players. All right. Josh Giddey recently has been playing incredible. All right. Really helping us win. But in general, this season, the way that he's learned how to play better in the second half, especially the last 10 games and moving forward, he's going to play. The other player that I've been so impressed with his new role too is Lou Dort, bro. Lou Dort doesn't get a lot of credit at all, but Lou Dort has been taking an average of 8.3 shots a game this season. That's significant because that's as low as his rookie year, okay, that he played for the Thunder, where he shot 6.5, okay? Everywhere else, he's been 12.5, 14, 11.5. He has taken a lot of shots in his career, and this year he has pulled a completely 360. And I want to give a big shout out to that. Is one of the reasons that he's pulled a 360 on that is he drives to the hole on a lot of his shots. He gets to the rack, and he's been finishing, okay? Second thing he does is he's shooting 40% from three-point range right now. So when he's getting those open shots, he's knocking it down. And he's only averaging 10.7 game, which is less than he's ever averaged in the last couple of years. But to me, that's because he's taken a more of a defensive-minded role set in the whole idea of what he's doing. Passing the ball, keeping it moving, and making sure that everybody else is set up instead of himself. And we have better players. So we don't want him taking those 11 or 13 or 14 shots. We want him taking 3, 4, 5 less shots than he's done in his career. And the reason is because we got guys like J-Dub out there, But then you start looking at his 3-point shot and you start seeing it's at 40%. And why is it at 40%? It goes back to the one person that has been getting so much shit this year is Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey finds Lou Dort open all the time. And people will say, well, it's not necessarily Josh Giddey finding it open. Okay, then look at it as a hockey assist, because Josh Giddey knows that Lou Dort's open and he passes the ball to Shea, or he passes the ball to Chet, and you'll see him point to Lou, because he understands that Lou's open, but he couldn't get him the ball. And that's the thing about what Josh Giddey has done for Lou Dort, and making sure that he's consistently open and getting him the ball while he's open. It's up what Lou Dort's been able to shoot. I love it, man. Like, these two guys are going to allow us to be in the position we are right now, because they figured out how to best play with this team for the length of the season, and when it comes to playoff. Because if these guys are playing really well and taking less shots, right, letting our better guys take the shots, and they're playing incredible defense, and they're finding backdoor guys and making sure they get wide open layouts instead of wide open threes, like, these guys are going to get better and better and better. And they're going to be the ones that are the difference makers when we're in a game 6 or a game 7 against the Celtics.
Dude, that's
did I say
point.
that?
Yeah, I know. But when you talk about it, though, it's easy to focus on our MVP candidate, or like Chet and J-Dub, the big three. But when you start going down and you say, like, Dort is the best 3-and-D player in the league, maybe one of the best ever. Think about that, guys. At least he's having one of the great seasons that 3-and-D players can ever have. 5 threes a game, shooting 40% per game, and lockdown defense on the other team's best defender every night. Like, okay, and then you talk
doesn't
about
matter.
Josh
Small
already.
Forward, shooting guard, point guard.
Right. Talk about our coach. Talk about our bench. We could talk about all these different things. And yeah, dude, I'm starting to feel this little tingle in my butthole that says maybe we're going to go to the finals, dude.
Dude, there shouldn't be a little tingle, bro. There should be like a full out like things are about to happen shit. Because if you look at this team, we're half a game ahead of the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota. Okay, so let's just take Minnesota out of there. We're half a game ahead of the Denver Nuggets. All right, a legit title contender. Okay, they're going to have to do a lot to stay up with us. Let's just be honest. They are going to have to do a lot. There's a lot of stuff they're going to have to do. We have what I would consider one of the more easy schedules left. Like, I think we have like 2 or 3 games against the Blazers, and like, we have a pretty easy schedule. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, like, I think we have 8 games left that are against what I would consider a top 4 team in East or West. That's it. So like, the rest of the 12 are the bottom half of the league. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, like, how far can this team go if some of these games are just warm up games? Like, I don't really care if we win 58, 60 games. I don't give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I give a shit about is how locked in this team is at the end of the year. Like, if this team goes out and wins 55 wins because we're trying to stay healthy and all that stuff, and we gave up 3 or 4 wins just to stay healthy, guess what? I'm like, hell yes. Hell yes. Because when playoff comes, these guys that have been getting better and better and better are just going to have these monster games in the playoffs. And it's going to be like, yeah, well, Shea had his, 31, 32 points, but Josh having 35 points, shooting perfect from the 3-point line. Like, nobody expected that. Lou Dort going 12 for 12 from 3-point range. Like, that's what's going to happen in the playoffs, guys. And it's going to be like, at what point are those guys going to explode? And that's why we have to give these guys credits. That's why it's easy to give Chet and J-Dub and Shea and all these other guys credit. But these 2 guys have gotten the less love and the less credit out of any of our starters this year. And any of our bench players, even at that. Like, these guys have been thrown under the bus on every single trade opportunity we've been able to, look at. That's across Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. That's across Oklahoma City Thunder media. That's across, ESPN. Everybody throws these guys under the bus. And what we're saying now is that we need to surround them with love, and we need to support them, because the better they do this, the better our team does in the playoffs.
Exactly.
So stop with the trade ideas and just focus on what these guys are going to bring us. These guys are going to bring us to the fucking promised land. So buy in, guys. This is it. Get that tingle going and recognize that it's going to be June before these guys are done with the playoffs.
Dude, last team in the West, 20 losses, baby. That was the Thunder. 19 losses right now. Let's go,
Beautiful.
baby. Let's run this thing all the way to the summer.
Let's get it.